Good morning and welcome to our panel, which has to do with the large projects transforming Greece, business and investment opportunities. Over the last years, there have been sweeping legislative changes that have taken place. They aim mostly on bureaucracy, at cutting down on bureaucracy, modernizing public administration, and creating an investor-friendly legislative environment. There is more in the pipeline. Attracting foreign investments is a core item on the agenda of the Greek government. These changes have led to groundbreaking privatizations of public assets and attracted increased interest from major international private investors and specialized funds. Our distinguished panelists are called upon to cover a large spectrum of projects and issues within a very limited time. I'll make the short introductions to our distinguished panelists. His Excellency Nikos Papathanasis, alternate Minister of Development and Investment. He has an impressive professional background and track record, and is responsible, along with Minister Advani Georgiadis, for spearheading the government's investment strategy. Minister Georgiadis said in public some time ago, in a large, to a large crowd, that there are two persons who can implement everything that we decide in Greece. One of them is Minister Papathanasis. Mr. Gregory Dimitriadis is the executive officer of the Hellenic Corporation of Assets and Participations, the so-called super fund. This is the super fund that has been created recently, and Mr. Dimitriadis has undertaken a Herculean task of converting a long list of state-owned bureaucratic dinosaurs into active market players. Mrs. Ravina Advani is head of energy, natural resources and renewable coverage at BNP Paribas. She has a wide expertise in all sectors, in all aspects of the energy sector, and she will guide us on the prospects, opportunities and challenges that the world is facing following the Ukrainian war. Penelope Lazaridou is the General Financial Manager and Executive Board Member of the TERNA group of companies. She will focus on the opportunities offered in the Greek market, which have rendered TERNA a leader in the concession and energy sectors, and will discuss ways to cope with the challenges of the present international volatility. Finally, Mr. Christos Balaskas is the President and General Manager of Eldorado Gold. He has been through various, problems and hurdles during the last years, but now the company is heading successfully to become, a very successful investment in the challenging mining sector in Greece, and he's going to discuss his experience in Greece and, of course, the resilience of the Eldorado Gold Company in the Greek market. Minister, you have the floor. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bernitsas, distinguished panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it's with great pleasure and honor to be here with you today, New York, to discuss the prospects for Greece, and also to discuss about the business environment and how we are changing Greece to become a friendly environment, location, for business to come and establish themselves there and be actually prosperous, because every large corporation that came to Greece at the end became a successful story. Every story, we have many stories like that. So let's go back a little bit. From 2019, a new government, a prime minister that is a reformist prime minister, and a government that actually speaks in one frequency, this frequency of reforming Greece and making a friendly destination for investments, started a series of laws in order to, as Mr. Bernitsas said, to change the environment and make it easier for companies to start and get licensed and start their operations. And this is what we did. We proceeded with an ecosystem of laws that create such an environment. And of course, the question always that is being posed is that why would a company come and establish its business in Greece? And we have to answer that by stating that we do have an enormous amount of technological protagonists that come and establish themselves in Greece because they find something. And what they find is a stable, first of all, a stable environment, a stable government, a reformist government, and also a government that wants to stay by their side and assist them in doing things fast and productively. I have the great opportunity, I had the great opportunity, I still have, to be in a ministry with Mr. Georgiadis, has just arrived here. And right from the very first day, we had to resolve many problems. One of the big problems we faced as we started there was to resolve all the issues in order for Hellenikon to start. And I have to say that the issues that were raised were enormous as a number. And in order to do that, we had to pass laws to make things easier. And what we do in order to create this environment, the friendly environment, is we pass outside from the state, from the government, jobs that would take time to be completed, and we trust the private sector. This is what we do. We create a comfort zone between the state and the investor by giving out a lot of the jobs that previously were held and done by the state. In that sense, we have sped up a lot of procedures, and we make the investors very comfortable. It's not accidentally that Microsoft, Pfizer, great American companies that came to Greece, and not only they came to Greece, they had an initial business plan that this business plan actually is multiplied now. The initial plan that was decided by these companies, it seemed that was doing very well, so they decided to multiply their businesses in Greece. So what we offer very incentives for strategic investment. We do everything we do it in a fast-track modus, and we offer incentives as a tax relief, grants, wage subsidies, leasing subsidies, and generally all this in a fast-track process. I don't know if I have taken more time.
No.
Bernitsas.
That's excellent.
But,
Thank you very much.
I wanted to give a description of the environment, and mostly I would like to state that this government is here to assist companies to come and be established in Greece. We are pro-investment, and we will stay like that. It's not accident. It was not an accident, the bouncing back that we did in 2021. We recovered almost all of our losses from 2020. We do expect a significant growth for 22, sorry. And of course, the war in Ukraine has probably will slip a little bit certain fiscal issues, but still we will be on the growth pattern. And of course, we expect to be in the investment grade by 2023, something that we are very excited, and it will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. This is something that I think is everybody knows. That this government is open to investments, it attracts investments, the doors are open, it is a core subject in the agenda, on the agenda of the government, and this is very good news. And now let me turn to Mr. Dimitriadis and ask him how he deals and copes and what he expects with a very challenging let's say, program that has to do with this, with the companies that are managed and belong to the super fund.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you also for the organizers for the invitation. Minister Papathanasis, as Minister Georgiadis earlier, with whom we have excellent cooperation, gave a good view of Greece's prospects today. And yes, there is a momentum we want to keep up and sustain. We have had major deals, Macquarie getting significant 49% for the transmission electricity company in Greece. We had Italgas that came in for DEPA infrastructure. We had even Skaramangas shipyards moving forward. So there is a momentum, and of course Egnatia Street with the biggest record so far yet for the concessions of our privatization and asset development fund. So this momentum is something that we want to keep up, and HCAP, as the super fund that you mentioned, is we want to play a major role, and we will play a major role not just as because we are asset managers, but developing ourselves into a sovereign wealth fund. And to do that, we want for all our projects not to just own the assets and see how they develop, but to be also troubleshooters and effectively be efficient facilitators for further investments in Greece and, of course, in our portfolio. And this has happened also with a very successful capital increase of PPC. Alex Fotakidis is here, and now he's also a partner CVC at PPC with a major growth plan for renewables, which is the real answer to the energy crisis we currently face. And of course, there is a lot of potential projects now, very good ones. We had a discussion with Dimitriadis Politis. He's the head of the asset development fund, the privatization fund. He is around the audience and give you more details. So we have the Kavala and Alexandroupolis ports. We have the Volos and Igoumenitsa ports also coming up, marinas in Corfu and in Lefkimi, another area south of Corfu, which shows that there is a momentum also for the tourism industry. We have the regional airports that are entering a new phase. So with the Kalamata airport, within the next months, it will be also will start the process for its finding an operator, privatizing it, following the good example of what Fraport did with the other 14 airports. And also with the other 22 local airports, we're looking for the same very soon. With real estate, it is also important. We have another firm under our portfolio called Etal. It has thermal springs, it has real estate assets that we want to develop, including the waterfront of Athens next to Hellenic, which is another major project we have, and this is going to be on its way in the next few months. And of course, we have Attiki Odos, which is a major concession agreement, which we expect to set a new record, along with logistics. As you may know, Thriasso, a project for many years, it was in limbo. Now it has a concessionaire, in agreement with DG Competition, so we move forward. And we're very happy, also all the team here, the ministers and myself, to discuss on the margins of our meeting today, any opportunities in order to welcome you to invest in Greece and to play our role in that. And you even have, I see, Alexandra Papadopoulou, our ambassador here, so we have a whole team that will welcome you. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Alexandra.
Happy birthday from all of us.
We should sing and cut a cake. The minister really knows everything, yes, that's true. And we have the new ambassador of the United States to Greece here, so I'm sure we will collaborate very closely all together.
Well, thank you very much. I would like to come back to certain questions after everybody has his, let's say, makes his preliminary statements. There is always a complaint from the point of view of the investors that there are huge delays in the procedures for the privatization or for, let's say, the sale of certain state assets. And this is something that is perceived by the market, and I understand that this is something perhaps you might wish to take another minute to explain before we see the private parties and how they would react to these business opportunities.
Yes, sir. We want to accelerate this process, and I think the case of Italgas and EPA infrastructure, it is a case study. We had in August announced who is the bidder, and by May 6th, we expect to have the financial closing. So within 8 months, the whole process has been completed. And that's how we want to accelerate everything on this pattern, and of course to troubleshoot everything that comes up. So we are here also to take responsibility, not just go to legislate all the time and move forward.
Thank you very much. Now let me turn to Mrs. Lazaridou and ask her how she perceives these opportunities and challenges from the point of view of the private sector. And what do you foresee, let's say, with regard to what is happening around us?
First of all, I'm very honored and proud for being here today. This event has always been a unique opportunity for share views, for explore new business journeys and form strategic initiatives for Greek economy. So I would like to thank Nikos for this wonderful opportunity. Now, regarding investment opportunities in the sectors we are currently dealing with as a group, as TERNA, and how the challenges is faced by us. TERNA Group, we have to say that is leading all sectors in which it is active: concession infrastructure, energy production, production and storage of clean energy, construction infrastructure, and also waste management. Despite the global financial crisis, the sovereign Greek debt crisis, the recent pandemic, we have managed to build the largest book of investments and projects that a private group has ever achieved, focused on sustainability. First sustainable bond issuer in the domestic capital market, which will indeed transform Greek economy, as the title of our conference today is. The total budget of the investments only in the energy and concession sectors currently reaching more than 6.5 billion, and this does not take into account any multiplier effect of our economy. And in order to be more specific, let's start from the clean energy sector, which is a very important sector for our country as well, and worldwide, and for Europe also. Our total installed and under construction capacity, power capacity, stands to 1.3 giga, with a target to reach 3 giga in the next 4 to 5 years. Of course, we will achieve this through heavy investments, as we have done in the last 20 years in large-scale wind and PV projects, in electricity interconnections, and also large-scale energy storage like pumped hydro plant, like the Advani Philohia, 700 megawatt. In addition to this ongoing 3 giga clean energy program, we have gradually initiated, I would say, a new expanded investment program in new wind farms and onshore PV parks, in offshore wind farms, in floating PV and new investment in energy storage on top of the pumping storage I referred before, and like the hybrid station, hybrid and wind at the same time, the largest in Europe. This new expanded investment program in clean energy will regards additionally 7 giga, out of which 5 giga have already obtained initial licensing and start gradually to be realized. Of course, the prompt implementation of this ambitious investment program is strongly dependent on legislative initiatives that has to do with the simplification of the renewable permitting process and of the energy storage of the offshore wind parks. And please note that it's important to mention that the legislation on renewable permit simplification and energy storage is expected to be submitted for consultation and then for approval by the Parliament within the next couple of weeks. While on onshore, wind will follow hopefully in about 2 months from now. So there is significant progress in those legislative initiatives. Also, we shouldn't forget the successful mobilization of the Recovery and Resilience Fund, which for earmarked for green transition projects of more than 6 billion. And this is expected to play a very critical role in the progress of those landmark, but at the same time high absorption projects. Now, in conventional power generation, we keep a significant market share, I would say, through Iron. Iron has a plant of 600 megawatt, but we are enhancing our production capacity through a joint investment with Motor Oil in a new highly efficient combined cycle gas power plant in Komotini, 877 megawatt capacity, which is a really important investment. On another front regarding concession, we have the largest existing and under development portfolio in Greece. We hold in operation 2 of the largest motorways in Greece, Nea and Kendriki, and along with where we have 100%, and along with 70% in Olympia, we operate 720 kilometers. But in addition, we have succeeded to add in our concession portfolio landmark project through an investment program where the budget currently stands at 4.5 billion. Like the Egnatia motorway, 130 kilometers, 2.8 billion budget. And also the new international airport in Kastelli, the second largest airport in Greece, the new entertainment and MICE and casino project in Hellenic, and the recently awarded ultra-fast broadband, a joint investment with the Greek independent power transmission operator. Just a useful note here that all toll roads and airport concession are contractually inflation protected. And on top of this project, it's very important for our country that we have been pre-qualified for a series of new mature and large-scale concession projects in the critical areas of transport and energy infrastructure. Some of those are already included or are eligible to be included in the RRF, like the North Axis of Creta, both the PPP and the concession project, the Salamina-Samparin, a large group of PPP projects through availability payments. So the successful commencements of this large-scale project will have a dual benefit, I would say. First of all, will contribute to the dynamic transition of the Greek economy through the large multiplier effect that they have in the GDP, but they will reconfirm the investment, interest, and trust from large international investors and allow for more direct investment, and especially in view of the country's prospect upgrade to an investment grade. Last but not least, construction was and still is one of our building blocks of our portfolio. It's a critical business, strategic business, constitutes, I would say, the best ambassador of the Greek technical work to foreign markets and counterparties, highlighting a solid financial standing and a proven track record of very complex quality works, timely delivery, with a backlog 4.5 billion, far the largest in the domestic sector. Following these unfortunate events that are taking place in Ukraine and the uncertainty in the supply chains and the pricing and the prices of raw materials, construction is experiencing some headwinds. It's quite premature and therefore difficult to assess exactly the impact and duration of these challenges, but we're closely monitoring the situation, and we have taking all the operational strategic initiative as TERNA that will serve as a protection buffer, securing the profitability of our construction arm TERNA. To conclude, now we, as TERNA, have demonstrated during the Greek crisis and during the pandemic our ability to expand our market position. Today, we're leaders in the field of concession, energy, and other sectors, and at this turning point of the Greek economy, at TERNA, under always our inspired management, possess the required specialization, the financial resources, the competitive advantage, and especially the internal strength to claim and develop large-scale investments and to constitute decisively in this dynamic transformation of our economy.
Thank you very much. That is a very interesting, let's say, expose of what the company has done, and this, of course, gives various opportunities to various competitors and other companies in order to thrive in the Greek market. Let me turn now to Mrs. Advani and to discuss with her the very critical issue, which is the energy issue, and of course, the knock-on effect that this volatility has on the international, let's say, market and affecting every single market, from construction, as was said by Mrs. Lazaridou, to every practically other field of activity.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. As all of you know, the world is focused on meeting a 1.5 degree scenario by mid-century for obvious reasons, right? It's to avoid major irreversible climate-related damage to which we've already been witnessing ourselves. And the pressure that has been driving action around climate change, it's only mounting. We are seeing countries across the globe set net zero targets, meaning they are investing in new and innovative technologies, and they're retreating from dirtier fossil fuels. Looking at, taking Greece, for example, the country is focused on reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 50% by 2030 with a net zero goal of mid-century. The U.S. recently recommitted to the Paris Accord, and China, Japan, and South Korea, the trio actually accounts for 1/3 of the world's population. They, in 2020, also announced net zero goals. We're seeing companies across the world set their own targets, and these are the largest, heaviest carbon emitters. We're seeing this happen in the auto sector, the transport sector, and the power sector. And those companies are actually helping propel innovation in new technologies like hydrogen, like carbon sequestration, like battery storage, and other technologies that Greece does plan to invest in very aggressively. Governments play an incredibly important role in providing a framework in helping grow and spur investment into renewables. And then you have the NGO and activist pressure. You're seeing a lot of different regulatory bodies require more transparency around climate-related risks. And then even asset managers, PIMCO and BlackRock, they've been incredibly vocal about the importance of decarbonization. And that pressure is continuing to create a lot of opportunities, both for the financial as well as energy industry. There's already been a tremendous amount of momentum in the sector. Looking at 2021 alone, there was $755 billion US spent in clean energy related technologies, and that number needs to grow massively in order to meet the net zero goals that we have been trying to accomplish. So the current crisis, what does that actually do for all of these grand things that have been happening around net zero? Well, it's definitely creating some challenges, as we've heard throughout the course of the various panels this morning. Reliance on Russia's natural gas, it's come to a head, and the volatility in commodity prices, it's forcing countries and companies to figure out how to wean themselves from Russia and create their own stable energy supply and capacity stack. So looking at Greece, the near-term goal is to boost mining by 50% and potentially expand or extend the operation of lignite and coal assets to deal with the near-term crisis. The US, who has traditionally been a net exporter of natural gas, is planning to ramp up its liquefaction capabilities and supply Europe with an additional 15 billion cubic tons of LNG. In Germany, they are contemplating delaying the nuclear phase-outs that they've been very aggressively touting, and they're also looking at importing natural gas from the US as well as Qatar and the Middle East. And while the response to the energy crisis may delay some of those near-term transitional goals and targets, I think that there's still very much a big push around clean energy agendas. I mean, it's a distraction, certainly, and we need to deal with it, and that will happen. But the high fossil energy price environment, I think it supports the thesis that renewables are going to continue to be attractive from an energy security perspective. And I think when looking at Greece, the country has a lot to be proud of. I think Penelope went through some really remarkable examples, but being 40% of the capacity mix in renewable technologies, including wind and PV solar and hydro and biomass, I think that's remarkable, and there's definitely more to do around decarbonization of the country, and I think it will just take time and a lot of innovation, and I think government plays an incredibly important role in some of those goals.
Okay, we'll come back with some questions if we have the time, but let me give the floor to Mr. Balaskas to tell us about the saga with regard to the approval of this challenging investment in the mining industry.
Thank you, Mr. Bernitsas. I happen to have the privilege to represent a foreign direct investor in Greece, Eldorado Gold. And this is an investor that came to Greece in 2012, has invested already $1.3 billion US, and intends to invest another $1 billion US in the next 2.5 years. For those that they don't know Eldorado Gold is a respectable gold mining company that is based in Canada and operates in Greece and Turkey. Eldorado Gold invested in Cassandra Mines. Cassandra Mines are in northeast Chalkidiki, in North Greece, and there are polymetallic mines, but also precious metals. They're operating assets, Olympias, and under construction, Skouries. This is, Skouries mine is a mine of gold and copper. And the situation, of course, it was something that could be described, Mr. Bernitsas, in a sentence. Eldorado Gold met from the Greek state the good, the bad, and the ugly. But fortunately, in the reverse sequence. So we're now experiencing the good. And the reason why we're experiencing the good, it's because after the ugly, we asked the Greek state and the government after the elections of 2019 to re-establish and reaffirm the commitment of the Greek state to the development of the mining assets in Cassandra mines. And this administration, as Mr. Papathanasis mentioned, did actually that, supported this investment wholeheartedly. There was a significant negotiation of a new investment agreement. It took quite some time, but we managed to go and arrive at a balanced agreement that protects not only the interests of a foreign direct investor and makes an agreement bankable, but at the same time protects the interests of the Greek state and the local communities. That's vitally important. Through this, we reaffirmed our intention to continue the investment in Greece. That was the only way. And of course, we experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. Why? Because over the years, Eldorado Gold believes in the prospects of the Greek economy, of the Greek state, and the path to improvement. Obviously, the assets that we are investing already and we are going to invest are world-class deposits. That makes it very, very valuable. At the same time, also, we've seen that the government, with a new investment agreement, emphasized its pro-investment approach to foreign direct investors. And for us, that's invaluable. At the same time, we've also proceeded and renewed our feasibility study. And we've seen and included all the pricing variability and uncertainty of the current times. So when you have an IRR of 19%, then makes it absolutely impossible to walk away from this. And we are proceeding. At the same time, there is a remark I want to make about the current situation. And I think you all understand that the current conflict between Russia and Ukraine creates another necessity, not only for Greece, but for Europe in general. That Europe can no longer rely on third-party countries on raw minerals. This is a realization I think that we all come to realize. It's not only energy. If we want to transition to the Greek economy and use copper, nickel, we have to develop our mines. And in Greece, we do have a lot of wealth underground. We have to decide at some point to do it. And I think one of those projects, Eldorado Gold's projects, it is actually a large project that will change the prospect of the Greek economy if we do decide to go forward, not as Eldorado, but others also. When we allow, through the improvement of the regulatory system, to proceed. I've seen the current administration and its ministers improving dramatically and stabilizing the regulatory framework. That needs to continue. And at the same time, I think the other aspect, which is the judiciary and how justice is done in Greece. I think that's the other aspect which, with the reforms, I think it will come to a point where we make foreign direct investments an established reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're running out of time.
Can I have an intervention?
I'm sorry?
Can I have an intervention? Can I say something?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course, if
Okay.
we are allowed
okay,
to.
as you understood, we are the good face of it. But, actually my colleagues here, my co-panelists, helped me answer the question, why come to Greece? And I had a great discussion with His Excellency, the new ambassador to Greece, Mr. Tsounis, how we can attract more American investment in Greece. I think Ravina said that about the challenges, said about the challenges, and Greece is supporting renewable energy resources and also entering the Just Transition Fund, changing from lignite to renewable energy does not affect at all the lignite production. As for now, we've decided 50% increase, temporary, in order to go to the next phase because of the war. And Penelope here talked about how confident the company is and keeps on investing in the country. Where Christos said that we should continue the regulatory work we do, and we do that. We will continue, as I said, we want to create this comfort zone and be as strong as possible in order for investors to feel comfortable and to come to Greece. And of course, Gregory is speeding up things with the super fund in order to work with more foreign investors and of course attract more FDIs in Greece. In other words, Greece is a place to be now. We are a European country, very stable country, stable political system. We have an enormous talent pool. This is something that you cannot find in other European countries. We have STEMs from universities, and that's why these companies I mentioned, American companies, European companies, are creating their hubs close to the universities. And of course, we are a reformist government, and we continue to change our regulatory framework in order to make things easier.
Thank you, Minister. You've made an excellent conclusion, and would like to thank you very much, all the panelists, for this participation. Thank you.
Thank you.